when you're going into this 2022 season for the Packers, of course, it wouldn't be the Green Bay Packers if you had at least some sort of drama in their offseason from last year. Off the heels of another loss to the 49ers in the playoffs, despite being the top seed, Aaron Rodgers went out and said he wasn't going to be sure if he would play in 2022. And then he would later say that he would play, and he agreed to another contract extension, a big fat one, mind you. But that big fat contract extension came with a price this time, and that resulted in a big loss on offense. Davante Adams, their top receiver, the Packers had no choice but to trade him because he carried a big fat contract too. The Packers traded their top receiver to the Las Vegas Raiders for that year's first and second round picks in the draft. Because the Packers can't draft anything on offense in the first round, it took them until round 2 of that draft to get Davante Adams' potential replacement in Christian Watson from North Dakota State. Don't you want Aaron Rodgers to get some help on offense? Did they? But no. They instead go and use their 2 first-round picks in that draft to go draft 2 defensive players. Defense is good and all, but in the modern National Football League, offense is the name of the game, especially when you have a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers. So, despite some potential setbacks team-wide, because they did lose a good amount of players in free agency because of their money situation, I still expected them to win the NFC North because at the time, the division preseason was still kind of meh. You didn't really know what to expect out of the Detroit Lions. The Bears obviously were going to be bad because aside from Justin Fields, you didn't really know what to expect of them, and they had a new head coach. The team overall wasn't going to be that great. And for as kind of talented as the Minnesota Vikings were, they had a new head coach, so you didn't really know what to expect. So the Packers were still expected to run the division in the NFC North. But despite starting 3-1, Rodgers and the Packers endured a very brutal midseason stretch. They went 1-7 for a good portion of the season. Rodgers suffered a broken thumb, didn't help matters either against the Giants. The fact remained, he had serious trouble and open distrust among his whole receiver room. He was very vocal about his receivers doing pretty badly when it's clear that he had serious trust issues, like scanning the field, throwing it to a Christian Watson or a Romeo Dobbs. It's he didn't want to throw to anyone. Make either one of those or whoever his go-to guy. So it's damn. And the running game wasn't all that great either. Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon, sure, they were consistent on offense, but it took a step back in 2022. And so did the defense. It's the secondary was frequently getting roasted, both in the middle and downfield. They couldn't cover. And by week 12, as the Packers lost to the Eagles on Sunday night, sitting at 4-8, I think I was one of the many people, if not few people out there, calling for Jordan Love, their backup quarterback, to start. Because it's even in a weak NFC conference, there's no reason for Aaron Rodgers to go out there anymore. The Packers need to start focusing towards the future. It's why waste all the rest of the season trying to go for a playoff spot just to get eliminated by whoever's going to be the number 2 seed in the conference at the time? It's they're going to get their butts beat anyway with that kind of team. But anyway, they decided to ignore my complaints, and they managed to win their 4 straight games. Mainly in part due to Aaron Rodgers playing like God and Christian Watson having a breakout December. They managed to beat up the fraudulent Minnesota Vikings and a beat up Miami Dolphins team to keep their fraudulent playoffs hopes alive. And when it came time to week 18 in a win or go home situation, because the Seahawks beat the Lions, which eliminated the Lions from playoff contention. The Seahawks actually beat the Rams, and by virtue of tiebreakers, they eliminated the Lions from playoff contention. When it came time for the Packers to face the Lions at home in the final regular season game of the whole season, they didn't show up. Their regular season problems came back to haunt them. Like Aaron Rodgers airmailing his receivers, not trusting him again. The pass rush, he couldn't recognize them. And as a result, the Packers' playoff hopes, whatever was left of them, were extinguished. Instead, an 8-9 record was handed to them. Talk about ouch in every way imaginable. Like, the door was wide open for them to make a playoff push, and now it's just like, nope. It's just like they let themselves extinguish it themselves. The Packers screwed the Packers. And once again, now they're entering another offseason of whether or not Aaron Rodgers will play for them. The Packers will trade Aaron Rodgers, or he's just simply going to retire. And Aaron Rodgers is, again, taking his sweet time. It's, even after that darkness retreat that everyone keeps talking about, it's like he's taking his time. Apparently talking with the Jets, talking to a few other teams. It's like, dude, just make the decision already. If I was Aaron Rodgers, I would just retire. I know he wants to play for this long, but it's like, dude, like, just retire, if I'm honest with you. So anyway, assuming that Aaron Rodgers is going to go to another team or go retire, the Packers have a lot of decisions to make. Whether or not Aaron Rodgers is going to play for the Packers, because they do have a little bit of money to spend, but not that much. Around $5 million to spend around the time of this episode. But fortunately for them, they don't have a lot of big decisions to make other than Rodgers. All they have is Adrian Amos, Mason Crosby, their kicker, and their kick returner, Keyshawn Nixon, to re-sign if they want to. So fortunately for them, not too many key unrestricted free agents this offseason. But they do have a lot of needs to address, like adding a number 2 option opposite Christian Watson. I think whether it's Aaron Rodgers or Jordan Love, Christian Watson can be a top receiver in the NFL if he continues to play the way he did in December. The thing is, it's gonna take more than Watson to do well in the Packers offense. He's gonna need a number 2. I think the Packers should really focus on getting another option for him in the draft. Please do that in the first round this time. Please do it. And then retool the secondary by either re-signing Adrian Amos or finding a new safety, because your secondary was awful. They couldn't cover for much of the season. So find a safety that can go downfield, can cover toe to toe in the middle of the field, and they should find a solid tight end option because, Robert Tonyan wasn't a very reliable option. He didn't really play much all of last season, so maybe in the later rounds of the draft they can definitely find one. So for the Packers, they can always compete, especially if Aaron Rodgers decides to stick around, maybe take a pay cut if he ever wanted to, and if he's finally finds it in his heart to take one. But as proven in the season finale against the Lions, it seems like the NFC North is really starting to catch up to Green Bay. The Lions look like they're really on the rise. And if the Vikings fix their problems on defense, their stock may be rising too. And that can be very troublesome for a Packers team trying to get back into playoff contention. But the first thing they have to settle on is whether or not Aaron Rodgers is going to play for them or at all in 2023. If he does, I mean, good for them. That means another year for Aaron Rodgers to hopefully make another playoff run, or maybe even better, a Super Bowl run. I don't know. But if he doesn't, it's going to be another long year and beyond for the Green Bay Packers. And even worse, they don't even know what they have in Jordan Love. So, Packers fans, cheeseheads, you're in for a very weird offseason.